Kia ora everybody, it's Jonah speaking. I just wanted to make a quick testimonial for epigenetic tuning. It's literally been the most powerful process and holistic something I've ever gotten involved in. It was made by a gentleman named Max Sandor. And I had been studying his literature on just a number of different topics, because he writes about just about everything existential under the sun, like 4 years ago. So I would have been like just an adolescent. And as several of you know, I've been on a journey of synchronicity, and having several almost kind of inexplainable, magical coincidences, which really seem to be more like coincidences, happening inside of my life. And they've led me here, there, and everywhere, and it's been a positive journey, but now I understand, because of the nature of duality in the universe, to the degree that it's been enjoyable is also to the degree that it's been unenjoyable, and the scale has always been 50-50. And I didn't really understand that, and I was wondering, why am I doing this process and, you know, getting so far with it, and some of the benefits that it claims for me to have, I'm starting to reach, and then all of a sudden, I'm just not reaching them anymore, and I've only gone 10% of where I was under the impression that it would have taken me. And even sometimes, as several of you know, who have had any experience in like the holistic and New Age world, you can sometimes even feel pressure to claim that you've had something happen even though it hasn't, so that you can get clientele and be seen as a practitioner, master, level 3, this, that, whatever. And so in a space of actually a lot of disillusionment, with really even trying, and just thinking, you know what, I'm not going to have the answers, I'm not going to find my niche, I might as well just do whatever the heck I want. I realized how miserable that is as well, and the scale stays 50-50 no matter what. And one day I just thought, I need to do what makes the most sense to me, instead of following what other people have told me, be it good intentions, be it a sort of kind of magical ambiance that their wishes for my direction and life trajectory were given. I need to do what makes the most sense to me, because that's the best standard I can be held to. And even if there's something better out there, I'm doing the best I can do with what I'm given. And so that's actually why I contacted Max, because his literature, he's got a free thing called Purple Notebook on How to Escape from This Universe, which goes in and corrects a lot of translational errors which have had people kind of mucked up everything in Buddhism and Eastern philosophy, and you really get a new kind of perspective that's very cohesive with just about any other existential school that's interested in like what Rudolf Steiner calls direct looking, as opposed to thinking about something, which is a substitution for just knowing and perceiving something. And so anyways, I finally contacted him, and I've been involved in the whole shebang of every service he offers, which has literally been the most transformational and positive journey, even more so than I got this specific benefit or this specific life change happened that I'm gonna like write a testimonial about or whatever. It's more so just been, I'm starting to get a bird's eye view of how human limitation works, for the purposes of me actually having autonomy and independence to deal with my own limitations. And while I'm still growing in it, it is 100% directly perceivable that I am entering into a space of not needing anyone else, or needing anyone else, you know, in terms of getting to my next step of self-development and evolution. Some of the specific things that have been worked through is I had a compulsion to help, which in reality made me incapable to help, because the only way you can actually help is to improve yourself and be an example. And some people aren't ready to be helped, and if you try and help someone who's not ready to be helped, you're actually hurting them and yourself. And so there was a lot of self-sabotage based on upbringing and the cultural background of my life, pertaining to trying to help everyone and save the world, when in reality, I am a microcosmic reflection of the macrocosm, and the only way I can improve things is by improving myself. And that reality has become more than just philosophical, big-worded jargon. It's become a direct experience. There have been other things, like a confidence and a certainty when it comes to money. It's no longer, I've got to try to make money. It's like, it just flows. Because I realize money is not the actual dollar bill. It's the energy behind the dollar bill. It's the value we put behind the dollar bill. And if you believe yourself to be worth that energy of the experience that you desire to create for yourself with that particular piece of paper or coins, if you believe you're worthy to have it, that's when you can actually attract it. Instead of me feeling like I constantly have to reach and grasp, because if I feel like I'm in a state of where I have to constantly work and struggle to get something, that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to have to work and struggle to get something. So getting over work and struggle, and in a very kind of like Zen Buddhist way, stop thinking about things and actually just do them. That's been probably one of my biggest self-sabotages. For many people who know me, I'm hyper-analytical, which is a gift but also a curse. And I'm learning how to balance it and utilize it for the blessing end of the pole. The specific process that I mentioned at the beginning of this is epigenetic tuning, which is really a good entry point. To see if on your life journey that kind of gives you the fulfillment of that internal reservoir, and now because of an independence you have, to be able to fix things for yourself and no longer need anyone, it may be enough and may very well be kind of the boost that you want to get to your destiny. And this isn't about someone else helping you or someone else creating a program for you getting there, but you realizing what you are capable of. It's all about you working on you. The epigenetic tuning may be just enough, and you may not want to do the full range of things, which has given me the previously stated benefits, as well as some really neat kind of existential trips into exploring past lives, or even more interestingly, parallel timelines, tangible connection with higher self, an understanding behind archetypal energies involved in numbers, and how this kind of matrix of this realm is made up, and waking up to and establishing a presence outside of this matrix. That may sound like your cup of tea and you may want more. You may just kind of want the life benefit, and epigenetic tuning is a really good place to start either way. It's kind of like the doorway into the rest of the services Max offers, which all have the specific aim of getting you to a place where you never need a service. So as far as I'm concerned, it's been the greatest investment I've ever made, because I've actually investing in myself. I had to give X amount of money to actually commit myself to accomplishing this goal, instead of self-sabotaging myself and just keep talking about the goal and never getting anywhere with it. So anyways, just to kind of specifically describe the process of epigenetic tuning, I'll start with a mental exercise for you real quick. Just imagine something. Imagine anything. Let whatever it wants to pop in your head. You got a picture? How'd that picture come? Why'd that picture come? Why that picture as opposed to another picture? And to even make this point a little bit stronger, remember the last time you had a song stuck in your head. Do you remember trying to get the song out? But you couldn't. It's almost as though the song or the picture has a life and a sentience of its own. And that was one of the things I learned inside of New Zealand, linking in with the indigenous people and their spiritual understanding of everything. Everything has a sentience. And even your own thoughts seem to have a sentience, because, at least for most people on the planet, thoughts have a life of their own, impressions have a life of their own, internal experiences and formulations of ideas have a life of their own independent from you. And that's proved by the fact that the picture came to you. You didn't specifically choose that picture out of all infinite possibilities of pictures. And when the song got stuck in your head and you were trying to push it out, you couldn't. It was still there for whatever reason. So needless to say, it's an interesting concept. And upon that kind of ideological framework and background, epigenetic tuning was developed. And it was basically thought everyone can at least theoretically connect with the concept of the morula. If you're not familiar with the morula, it's basically a 16 cellular structure that's you, or the first thing that you could call you, or even better, the first thing that you could call your body, which you then inhabited. For those of you who are interested in sacred geometry and the flower of life and those kinds of like mergings of scientific information and spirituality, the morula is actually formed based upon the flower of life blueprint. And several people in the scientific and way out in the left ball field, authentically spiritual and even sometimes going into lunatic fringe world, have talked about, needless to say, the consensus is always there, that this flower of life pattern is the blueprint for all of reality. And mathematically, you can see it on every level of science, in chemistry, in biology, in astrophysics, in astronomy. It all seems to be based off of the geometry of the flower of life blueprint. It's really, really, really an interesting symbol, and it even has more kind of historical mystery because it's carved into the temple of Abydos in Egypt, and it's carved on a wall. We still don't know how to carve it onto that wall so precisely as it is. If we tried to, the closest thing we could use is laser, but because of the particular type of rock the wall is made out of, the laser would actually bust the wall apart. So, I mean, needless to say, this symbol comes from a place of really, really, really a lot of intelligence, because we don't even know how to create the representation of this symbol in one of the oldest places it's in. So not only is it the basis for our biology in terms of it was the first thing our body was when a sperm and an egg meets, but everywhere you look in the universe, that same pattern is reflected. So it's kind of a basic pattern. And you don't even have to have the geometry of it inside of your head, and actually getting like stuck about you've got to see this way or that way isn't what it's about. It's about just letting the image come. The same way I said just let something pop into your head, and something popped in. Basically, epigenetic tuning is about popping the morula, which is the cellular structure based off of that form, into a person's head. And then you just sit there and you just observe what thoughts, feelings, emotions, impressions, etc., and etc. come up. And it was really amazing because a lot of really dark, scary, unfun, emotional charge, and kind of traumatic things come up. Which sounds horrible. Why would you do that then? But in reality, because this process is totally based off of working with your kind of imaginary faculty, which I find to actually be much more of a real faculty, just based upon what I've said earlier about how thoughts and everything in the mind has a sentience of its own to some degree. It's really, really, really amazing and fantastic just to see all of these ideas come up, because it's not so much scary, even though they might be quite emotionally charged, they're more interesting. And Mac's demeanor and the way he guides you through the process makes it interesting and explorative. And with a little bit of time, you become even more interested in exploring this stuff on your own. And then the independence kind of breakthrough that I've been talking about really starts to hone in. But basically what you do is, it could be limitations from money, like I've talked about, a compulsion to help people. It could even be drug withdrawals. It could be an addiction to unhealthy processed food. It could be getting stressed out at work, or having disorganization issues and never being able to be punctual. Any lack of ability or any desired ability you perceive yourself not to have, you can kind of create for yourself in a space of just thinking about it in light of the Marula, and then through processes that I'll let Max explain, you're actually guided on how to erase those negative energies and limitations from the Marula. And it literally changes and affects your life. And I'm living proof of it. And for a limited time, you can be involved in his process for much cheaper than what it typically costs. And in addition, because I'm training to do it, I can sit in observation and run kind of the basic prep work that's necessary to get the thing up and running, whereas he'll do the rest. So you're getting a cheaper price, and you're getting 2 practitioners to work with you in really one of the most revolutionary processes of our time. So I would highly encourage you to get in contact with him within this next 2-month period while things are going to be a little bit cheaper. And also, if you're interested in supporting me and my kind of academic and professional journey, this is definitely something that could help. And like I said, it is the investment of a lifetime, because you're not going to feel the need for another workshop, another class, another this, that, and the other, kind of hopelessly and endlessly searching for it. Because it actually doesn't even have to do with epigenetic tuning or a specific name. It has to do with existential truths that any individual can get into direct contact with if they just start to look and perceive. And starting with Marula and the energetic limitations that are stored inside of it, or at least the mind says are stored inside of it, and those being cleared and processed away, can directly really benefit your life in the process of becoming independent in terms of working with your own psyche and your own spirituality and your life journey. So thank you for hearing what I have to say. I hope you have a blessed day, and there will be an email at the bottom for you to get in contact with Max, and if you like, you can even Skype him and have a conversation and try and figure out what's the next step for you. So thank you very much for listening. A real quick update, and I should have mentioned this earlier, the stuff I'm doing with Max has quite miraculously changed my life in probably the most amazing way, that all of a sudden I got a bunch of invitations to go all over the planet. I'll give more details about that later, but I am going to be going to Peru. And it's going to be an exciting, crazy spiritual journey, and stay tuned for more videos on that. If you have any questions, hit me up, and feel free to hit Max up. Aroha nui ka kite. Bye-bye, everybody.